Hey guys, this is the ComShHS here, and we hit Legend. We got up to rank 66, now we're at a solid 169, playing 760 Dust Hunter. And even though it's like a fairly budget deck, you guys probably have a lot of the cards for it, I feel like it's one of the strongest versions of Hunters out there. So I'm going to do a quick deck tech and kind of explain my choices with the deck here. And then we'll go into some matches, and I'll talk about the matchups and so on and so forth, because I really think that anyone can get this deck and then can get to Legend with this deck. So starting out, we have one Hunter's Mark. There's sort of a lot of silver bullets in this deck, you know. Hunter's Mark is really good against Handlock. A lot of other decks lets you get through damage and trade your like web spinners and haunted creepers really favorably. Flare's another silver bullet. There's a lot of Hunters on ladder, and this deck is really good in the Hunter Mirror for a lot of reasons, and we'll go into that later. But Flare gets rid of secrets, its cantrips the worst for 1 mana, lets you dig deeper for your kill commands when you need to find lethal, and it's just really good against like Freeze Mage and other Hunter decks. Leopard Helm is pretty standard, 2 Death Rattles to trigger Undertaker. Pretty annoying card, but it's really solid, and you know, every Hunter deck pretty much plays it now. Same with Web Spinner. As far as traps go, I'm not playing Snake or Trap or Knife Juggler because I think they're not consistent enough. And I think one of Explosive Trap and one of Freezing Trap is just the right number. Once you start playing 3+ traps, you start drawing them in your hand and your deck becomes clunky and less consistent. Explosive is really good against Zoo and other aggressive decks. It can also help you get the last 2 damage you need for lethal. I've killed people with Explosive Trap before. And then Freezing stops like lethal attacks, and it's just a really good trap, and you should always play Freezing. The reason I like playing these two is that when you have one of them in your hand or one of them out, you always know what your Mad Scientist is going to get, and that's really helpful as far as planning goes, and I just think playing these 2 traps is correct, and the Snake Trap is a little bit too clunky for what I want to be doing here. Not that I know enough to say that Snake Trap is incorrect. I'm sure it's correct in a lot of decks, but for this deck I think these 2 are what you want to be playing. Haunted Creeper, another really solid death rattle. Everybody plays 2. I've seen some people cutting down to 1 Owl, and I'm not sure if that's correct. Owl's probably the best card in the deck, and I really like when you silence something and then you kill them. That's basically what Owl does, and it's just really useful in so many ways, and you can even silence your own creatures against Freeze Mage to get in like damage, and it's just a really good card. Another card people aren't playing is Loot Hoarder. Loot Hoarder is just a really solid death rattle, and since I'm not playing Knife Juggler, I have extra room in the 2-drop slot, and I think it's just amazing. It's a death rattle, it cantrips, it's just very, very solid. Helps you dig deeper for your KCs, and it's just really good. Mad Scientist gets you your traps, another standard card. Eagle Horn Bow, best Hunter weapon, really good with secrets, just really good card. Animal Companion, everybody plays 2 of those. Kill Command, everybody plays 2 of those. Moving on to one of Unleash the Hounds. Some people are playing 2, some people are playing none. Again, it's good with Knife Juggler, but it's like a clunky combo, sometimes hard to pull off. Just by itself, it's really good against Zoo and against other decks. Like at worst, you're getting a 1/1 with Haste Beast that's going to trigger your Houndmaster and your Kill Commands. And it's just a really powerful card. It's, again, a silver bullet, but with all the cantripping you're doing, you're drawing extra cards with Loot Hoarder, Flare. It's really powerful, and it's just going to do great work in the deck. I'm playing one of Houndmaster. Houndmaster is a really amazing card in this deck, but a lot of the time it's just going to be sitting in your hand, and you're not going to have a beast, and you're going to be thinking, why I don't have a beast? Once you draw the beast, you're going to have kill commands sitting in your hand that you're going to want to cast to kill them. So 1 Houndmaster is the right amount, because whenever you draw it, you're usually going to have a beast to use it, and they're not going to build up in your hand. It's really powerful, but the only deck you really want to be casting as just a 4/3 against is Priest, because Priest has trouble dealing with 4-power creatures, and we'll go into that matchup later. But it's powerful, but I don't think you want to in the deck. Loatheb, every Hearthstone deck plays Loatheb. It stops your opponent from casting spells. At worst, it's a 5/5 for 5. It's just really good. Sludge Belcher is a card some lists aren't playing, and Sludge Belcher just improves every single matchup, and I think I can say that pretty confidently. It just every single matchup gets so much better with Sludge Belcher. It's a death rattle. It triggers death rattles. It lets you, or it triggers Undertaker. Sorry. It lets you hide behind it as you try to go for lethal. It stalls. It just does everything you want it to do. It's a 3/5 body, leaves behind a 1/2. It's amazing. Moving on to Savannah Highmane, the reason I'm playing 1 is against a lot of decks, it's only good when you're already ahead on board or have the time to play it. There are going to be a lot of times when it's sitting in your hand and you can't actually afford to play it because you'll either die or miss out on lethal, but as a 1-of, it's very strong and it helps your control matchup, just as Sludge Belcher does. Okay guys, that's the deck tech. I climbed with this deck basically exclusively from 25 to Legend, and I think it's really solid, and if someone as bad as me can get there with it, I'm sure all of you guys can. So we're going to stop for a little bit, and then we're going to go into some matches, and I'm going to explain all the matchups, and thank you for watching.